Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another video, a review. Yep, we're gonna be finishing up the season 3 of Spongebob. Yep, because I finally found my phone. My phone. I've been looking for my phone. I finally found it. So, because I much prefer doing it with this phone than the other one, because this one's not as complicated, to get through with stuff. Also, it's probably a good thing I'm doing it with anyway, because the other one's actually almost out of space on the memory card. So, apparently it's not even letting me go to the system on the other one, so I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's why I'd rather do some of these videos with this old phone versus the new one, So, yep. Plus some of the stuff works, better that way, but yep, we're going to be finishing up season 3 of Spongebob. I cannot believe it that we are literally almost done with the pre-movie era of Spongebob. We are almost done. And what I'm going to be doing afterwards is I'm going to be reviewing the movie. And I also have another show I already had on the list to review as well. So I'm going to be reviewing that. And then I'm going to be going and moving on to the Disney movies. So I'm going to start trying to review those as well. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff planned. But if you guys haven't already, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I really would. Also, you guys can follow me on Instagram /threads. I'm also on X. Formerly known as Twitter. I'm on X, So I'm on there, I mentioned that I just call it X because it's easier that way for people to, figure it out. Even though a lot of people miss it being called Twitter, I just try to call it X because it's easier, but I normally just put it at the end of the video, but I, for some reason, was having a hard time kind of tracking down where it was at, so I mean, I'm actually working on another, solution to the problem, with that too. But, because I'm trying to improve my videos. But anywho, so now that we got the introduction out of the way, we got like 7 episodes left. And this season actually has been really good so far, really good. It's had some, some rough episodes. In fact, it had, the first, part of, my seasonal review. The last one ended on a bad, and then, the last set, I did, which was part 3, actually had it started out with not such a great, episode. But now that we got all, I think we got all, the bad episodes out of the way, I think we got all of them out of the way. Clearly, there's nothing else the show can hit me at, right? Right? Crap. Yep, of course. We still have probably we still have like another pretty rough episode to get through here. Should have known though, considered there's like still 7 episodes left. Yep, we couldn't be safe for another episode. And this is one of those episodes I've actually reviewed before. But unlike like other episodes that I have talked about in the past, I actually do have some stuff to kind of say with this one. So Krabby Land, is one of those episodes that, it's one of the rare episodes in pre-movie SpongeBob that people fucking do not like. People hate this episode a lot. I actually think it gets more hate than Dumped does. I see people kind of defending Dumped In fact, some people actually, compare it to another episode and, in season 4, which I'll be talking about when I review season 4 down the road, because I do have some things to say about that. But this is one of those episodes, that I feel like people really do not like. And, good reasons why. Because Mr. Krabs in this episode is a complete asshole. He literally, uses these kids and all that, just to build this cheap-ass, theme park. And all that, which, honestly, I'm actually shocked, that, the parents aren't, supervising their kids. Yeah, just leave their kids at this, with this stranger and all that. I mean, yeah, it's a boss at a restaurant, a popular restaurant, but still, you don't want to just leave your kids unsupervised there, so the parents are very irresponsible in this, episode, I guess. And, the kids are honestly not better. The kids are fucking unlikable, too. Like, my god, the kids are unlikable. So far I've talked about kind of the bad stuff in the past and all that, but I think before I kind of talk more about it, I do want to point some stuff out that I don't think I pointed out the last time. I was rewatching my review for the scoring and stuff, which I'll, get to obviously in a second, but I wanted to state that this episode, does something, I do like. So I will say, I don't think this episode is no longer my least favorite, episode in pre-movie. Actually, I think I still said Dumped was my least favorite because it was so boring. But I couldn't decide between this one and the other one, But I was kind of more leaning towards Dumped because this one at least offers some sort of entertainment, even though it's frustrating to watch at times. Dumped is too. That's kind of why I don't like Dumped more, because it's boring and, I hate Patrick in that episode. Him and Mr. Krabs kind of get very unlikable as the seasons go on, but I don't think it's even I don't even know if it's my second least favorite. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of don't hate it as bad as even the episode where Mrs. Puff, gets arrested and we focus on her in jail and Patrick and SpongeBob trying to break her out. I can't remember the name of that episode though, but that one was worse. That one was worse. And that was from this season. That one was just, it had some funny moments, but it felt like it was really hard to watch because, I was just constantly watching, Mrs. Puff screaming and all that, and, and the episode was confusing, and even the ending didn't make much sense. I was, confused, and all that. I don't know, it was very confusing. This episode, though, at least, they have a straightforward plot, and, at least, they do some stuff that I will say I'll give them credit for, I was referencing, another company, with a castle and a mouse, and all that, when I first reviewed this episode, which I'm just gonna go ahead and say, it's obviously Disney. I mean, people, probably saw that coming. But, it actually got a lot of reviews, too, which I'm surprised because I spent a lot of that time recording the TVs, but for the reviews, because I couldn't capture stuff, I didn't know how, so I'm surprised those reviews did so well. But actually, this episode reminds me more of McDonald's, actually. It does. It has more of a McDonald's vibe. The reason why I said, Disney is because, Disney is, they've kind of gotten very cheap with stuff and all that. And then you got Krabby Land, Disneyland, and all that. But you also got to think too. There's also you got like McDonald Land and all that too. And in fact, there are some references. Like Mr. Krabs dresses up as Krabby the Clown, which is, I think, homage to, like, to Ronald McDonald, and then you got, the Hamburglar, which, SpongeBob, is the Krabby Patty Burglar. Say that there are some homages to it. But yeah, these guys is what I'm talking about, like, you can see the Hamburglar, the clown. Yep, see all that. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss McDonald's, McDonald Land. But honestly, at this time when the episode came out, I think they were starting to phase out the characters, though. They still were bringing back some of them every so often, but I think they kind of went away from the McDonald Land stuff. But it's still a cool reference, but yeah, I really wish McDonald's could bring that back too. Like, I loved McDonald Land. So when you watch this episode, you might think about that. But unfortunately, this episode, kind of just does everything kind of wrong. It's still a very shitty episode. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a bad. Yeah, we're going to be giving it 28 points. Yeah, just like Dumped, I gave it kind of a really high score, but that was when I started doing points for my, for my reviews. I started doing that. I started including points and stuff, so a lot of that, being in there and all that, that's kind of, that would be kind of a little bit different. I actually even stated in the video, I watched it. I forgot I stated this, that, the scoring, may not exactly be the same, and it's not, I mean, a lot of these are, but, Dumped in this episode were not. They were definitely different scores. I don't know if Imitation Crabs was too. I don't remember, like, that one. I can't remember if I, kept the same score or not. I mean, it's been a little while since I, reviewed Season 2. And, Imitation Crabs separate, so I don't remember. But for the most part, I said the scores are pretty much, I think, going to be about final. There will be some that might be hard to, like, review. Especially when we get to Season 4 and 5, because there's some episodes that are, are kind of a little bit difficult to kind of judge. But, but that'll be probably a common thing, even, like, with other shows I review down the road. But yeah, this episode, although it's not my least favorite of pre-movie, episodes, it's still a bad one. Like, I still hate this episode. Like, basically, yeah, I do not, like, besides the, references, which I do like, I feel so bad for SpongeBob in this episode, and Mr. Krabs is a cheap asshole, and the kids are just fucking unlikable. Like, the kids don't even like SpongeBob's bubbles. Like, come on, these kids suck. They suck. I mean, I guess to be fair, in real life, kids can sometimes be assholes. I mean, I was when I was little. I was a little monster when I was little. I did some things, that were not good. Like, like I threw a rock at, like someone's truck, by my dad's house. That's not okay. But this is also a cartoon, and, this is a cartoon, and, I'm not saying, all kids are bad either. I'm just saying, like, kids have to learn, we have to learn, and all that. That's what I'm saying, because I've done bad things when I was little, But my point is, this episode is, is a cartoon. It's a cartoon, and I mean, yeah, I shouldn't be taking it super seriously, but I'm like, when you're trying to root for the kids or like, to win at the end. Like, why am I rooting for them to win at the end for having a crummy, time at the Krusty Krab? Or, I'm sorry, Krabby Land, when they treat SpongeBob like shit. I mean, they don't even like his bubbles. That was something, even the little monster me when I was little liked. I liked his bubbles. I always thought that was fascinating, But these kids don't even like his bubbles. Like, what's wrong with these kids? Like, what the hell is wrong with them, Like, why do they act like that? I don't know, it's just like I said, it's just one of these episodes where, like, it has a good idea, but the execution is terrible. And at the end, you kind of aren't really rooting for anybody because Mr. Krabs is unlikable, the kids are unlikable, so I'm like, I don't really feel bad for the character. Well, yeah, the characters at the end. If anything, I feel bad for SpongeBob. And yeah, Mr. Krabs again got punished at the end by eating lima beans, which I guess apparently, according to the comments, I saw I don't remember like what video it was, but they said apparently lima beans can kill crabs, which I did not know they can do that. So I guess he gets the death penalty. But which is kind of crazy, giving him the death penalty. But I'm sure he'll be fine. I mean, like I said, there's a car or two in there, but he's obviously in later episodes. But but all that kind of is off screen too, so we don't see him, getting tortured like SpongeBob and all that. And also, like I said, the kids, I don't really care that they won because they were so unlikable. I guess another bright side with this episode is Squidward, is in the episode, but Squidward doesn't really get, get anything, has anything bad happen to him, so that's good. But this is pretty much, all I have to say about this episode. I know there was a lot more to say, but I just had a lot more to add. But let's move on to our next episode, the camping episode. So, in this episode, I guess SpongeBob and Patrick and Squidward go camping. Outside next to their houses. I'm not gonna lie, I figured going camping, would mean like camping would mean, like going in the woods or something, but I guess SpongeBob does bring up a good point, like it doesn't really matter where you are as long as you're, in the outdoors, But yeah, Squidward, by the way, Squidward, this is kind of a foreshadowing thing for the future, Now, technically, I don't think they got it from this episode, but so Squidward wishes well, not really wishes, but, he's hoping that they'll get lost in the woods before he finds out they're just right outside his house, but he's thinking about how great it would be if they were gone, they get lost in the woods, So, actually, I won't spoil anything with the episodes, but this plot actually does happen later in the show. It does. They actually do get lost, so I guess Squidward got his, wish. But yeah, it'll be a while before we review that episode, but, yeah, I'm just saying that's kind of interesting. They get stranded and all that, but, that actually happens in season 3 with, that Club SpongeBob episode too, so, but that had Squidward with it too, so, he was not safe, but, yeah, I don't know, but anywho, yeah, so the camping episode, though, yeah, they have, there's actually some funny moments I like, Patrick apparently is, trying to roast a marshmallow, and then, keeps spitting it, or keeps blowing it, right in Squidward's face. And then somehow, it goes right back, it hits him in the head, what the heck did it bounce off of, it's stuff like that that's funny. And then they had, a camping song. I'm not gonna lie, the camping song is probably not my favorite song. I know some people are gonna be kind of, some people might disagree with me, but, I think this season has had better songs, and even, before that, the camping song is just a little bit, for me, it's a little more, obnoxious at times, but that's kind of the idea of the song, so, there is that. Because then Squidward, wants to play his clarinet, and I guess apparently it'll attract a sea bear. Yeah, there's apparently sea bears in this episode, or a sea bear. There's a freaking sea bear in this episode. Which, by the way, fun fact, sea bears apparently are actually real creatures. But yeah, that's what the sea bear looks like. Yeah, unlike the McDonald lamp picture, by the way, I actually had that planned. I had that actually planned there. But yeah, so yeah, that's the sea bear, though. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you guys a little bit of glimpses here. So yeah, it kind of does look like a sea bear a bit, or a bear a little bit, with the body and stuff. I mean, obviously it's not a bear, but it's kind of built like one. I don't know what the hell these things are supposed to be exactly, but apparently they say they are immortal. They are immortal, and they apparently have lived forever. So, I think them and jellyfish are reported to live forever. That's what I think I heard. So jellyfish can actually live forever too. Now they can die. Those things are a lot more difficult to kill. Luckily they're harmless. They won't hurt you. But I think they even took them to space. So they use these things as space subjects or space stuff. Now I think they have died in space. I think they get too hot or too cold or something. I think that can kill them. But they are immortal, or not, I don't know if, not immortal, immortal I think is like invincible or something, I don't know, they can't die, but it's very hard for them to die, and they can live forever, so, I'm not gonna lie, I would love to live forever, I wouldn't want to look like that, but I wouldn't mind living forever, but, yeah, I can live forever, and see the world change, and all that, But, yeah, I don't know. That's what those things look like, though. But, yeah, apparently, yeah, I forgot, there's also a sea rhinoceros in this episode, too. That's actually at the end as well, which I didn't think to look that up. But I know there's sea lions, there's sea bears there, which has a different name, but it's also known as a sea bear. That's why I didn't, bother filling in any of that, because I thought about filling it in, with, my fancy backgrounds, but I'm like, then I have to, not covering up I have to cover up the words, or I can leave them out, but it would still look weird, so I was like, I'm just gonna leave it, But yeah, I don't know exactly, I don't know a ton about those creatures, but, I know some. But there's also, like I said, sea monkeys, too, and all that. So there's a lot of, sea names for sea animals, but they actually don't look like they do in the show, so. But yeah, I don't know if Steven Hillenburg actually knew about these creatures or not when his crew was making the episode, or not, because he did a lot of that stuff. Because people are now learning more about these things, now, in the last, 5, to maybe 6 years. So, yeah. But it's still pretty interesting. I was thinking maybe it was just it's possibly a sea bear, because, during camping you can you encounter a bear, You can actually encounter a bear. Depending on where you're at, sometimes bears are not as common, so, yeah. But basically this bear, though, apparently, by the way, is also afraid of circles. Apparently circles, So, draw a circle, and apparently it'll keep it away. Like, what the hell are these things, from fucking hell or something? Like, what the hell? It's, weird, I just keep a circle, I draw a circle around you, and it'll keep it away. I don't know, that's kind of weird. That's a weird weakness and all that, I don't know. But yeah, I do like that Squidward ends up, like I said, trying, because he doesn't believe him, he ends up starting crap and all, and it turns out there's actually a sea bear. And this sea bear is out for blood and literally freaking hates Squidward. Which honestly, I don't blame him, he does pretty much everything that, he hates. I'm pretty sure there was, I think there was one thing that they mentioned that he didn't do. But yeah, he pretty much, did everything else. The thing is, though, in this, episode 2 is, I do like that, Squidward, does stuff, and all, but he actually deserves it, they don't just make him get attacked for no reason, they actually give him a reason, He didn't listen to SpongeBob, and then they told him about the circle, which again, I still question, myself, exactly what's with the circle, apparently it does keep him away, but he doesn't listen, and then he keeps, running away and all that, and, I don't know, I just really like that, so it looks like it's a good thing that maybe SpongeBob and Patrick, are around, and Squidward doesn't try to get rid of them. Because otherwise, if they got lost in the woods or something, I don't think Squidward would survive. I think he'd be doomed. But yeah, he'd be doomed. So yeah, it's a good thing, he, ended up, he actually survives and all that, or that they actually, are there to help him out. But yeah, there are quite a few jokes in this episode, and I do really like it. I'm definitely gonna give it a good, because I don't have a lot else to say about it, but I'm gonna give it a good, and then we're gonna be giving it 120 points. Yep, we're going to be giving it 120 points. Yeah, this episode, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this episode can kind of be scary at times, especially at the end there, oh my goodness, that sea bear. I mean, it doesn't scare me as much, but I swear when I was little and watching this episode, God, that freaking sea bear was so fucking horrifying. He was horrifying. But, let's move away from camping, because I have nothing else really to say about this one, except it's a really good episode. And let's go on to Missing Identity. Yep. So we go from, a camping episode, doing some camping, to a Missing Identity. So Missing Identity is, it's actually very relatable, to a lot of people, including myself, because I've lost some things. I even lost my phone, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I lost my phone. Which, by the way, didn't say where it was at. It was I put it in my pocket, which I thought I did, but I've been so stressed out with stuff lately, I didn't take it out of my pocket. So then it fell underneath the bed and all, and I kind of forgot where it was at, So, yeah. So yeah, I can kind of relate to, this episode in a way. I mean, I think we all can. And, then we have, I've lost other stuff too, I thought I did, losing memory cards and all that, and it turns out I don't think I ever had them, so, yeah, I do that, or I try to backtrack and all that to find something, and I don't end up finding it. That's kind of what happens in this episode, too. SpongeBob, loses his identity, or his name tag, I should say. It says missing identity, but it's only his name tag. And I like that he's in this diner. I really like that we get to see SpongeBob, in this diner talking to these two fish. Or I guess 3 fish, because the other one butts in. But I do really like, that we have him telling the story, while he's in this fancy, 50s diner. It's pretty cool. I'm assuming it's a 50s diner. I'm sure that's what they looked like. I don't know. But either way, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool, thing, concept. I will say, though, this episode, though, is probably not one of my favorites of this season. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I just think this episode is very straightforward. I think it's a little too straightforward at times. It's a little too straightforward. I do like that, again, that, SpongeBob is trying to find his missing identity and all that, and they do give you a good message to kind of, go backtrack, retrace your steps, which doesn't really work for me very well, and, by the way, it does not work for him very well, because apparently he never finds it there, but I guess he never really, completely retraced his steps, but, apparently, he did, he was trying to do that and all that, and, so he basically, has Patrick trying to say hi to him, and I will admit that's pretty funny, Patrick constantly forgetting to, say hi to him. I mean, I don't know why SpongeBob's getting so freaking annoyed by him. I'm like, come on, Patrick's very forgetful, you can't be completely mad at him. I mean, yeah, you're trying to find your identity, but SpongeBob, by the way, is making a huge, big deal over it for nothing, really. I mean, it's just his, name tag. I mean, I guess he had a fantasized, vision of, this bank robber using his name tag and all that to, rob a bank and stuff, but, it's just a name tag. I mean, there could be other people named SpongeBob, there could be a lot, I mean, I tell you how many people I've heard named, I don't know, like Sam or something, like that, there's, so many Sams, or, Matthews or something like that, heck, even the name Caitlin, there's a lot of names named Caitlin, too, like C's and K's, not gonna lie, the C ones look kind of weird, but the K's, no offense for people names who were with C's, I'm so used to seeing the name Caitlin with a K, it's actually a lot more common, I think, with a K than it is with a C, but I don't know. But basically, though, I was gonna say, though, yeah, I don't understand why he's so worked up over this name tag, not being able to find it, But yeah, I do like that, like I said, he could probably just get a new one or something like that, but he's worried about wearing a stinky boot, because Mr. Krabs, I guess, is threatening his employees. If they don't pass the inspection, they have to wear a stinky boot. So that's kind of weird, a weird punishment, but okay. But yeah, but then we spend the rest of the episode, him going into a dumpster, which, I'm not gonna lie, can be a little bit, I think it's a little gross at times, especially when Patrick jumps in there like a diving board, like he's diving into the dumpster, and we have to see him, literally spit out the freaking garbage. It's kind of gross. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little gross. But otherwise, like I said, there's not really a ton to talk about. But I will say, I guess I do like the ending where apparently, this, person here named Betty, apparently that's not her name, she just borrows this uniform, or was it uniform or a name tag? I think it'd be a name tag, but I'm pretty sure she says a uniform. while hers is at a cleaner. So, like, she just borrows somebody else. But I'm like, if your name's not Betty, why do you have a Betty name tag? I don't know. The ending's a little kind of confusing. But otherwise, yeah, this episode is gonna get a good. And then I'm gonna be giving it a good, and we're gonna be giving it 98 points. Yeah, I'm going to be giving it 98 points. I think this episode, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this episode actually, like I said, it's not bad, but I think it's a little too simple, like, now normally I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind if SpongeBob doesn't have a lot of, I've said this before, I don't think it always needs jokes in it. But this one, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this is a concept a lot of cartoons kind of do, and, I don't know, I feel like, it feels a little too straightforward at times. There's not really it's not really like one I'd go back and watch a bunch often. But it's still not a bad episode. I say it's not. I just don't think it's one of my favorites. But that's why it's getting 98 points. Just because I don't think it's that enjoyable compared to it's kind of like Patty Hyped or something like that. But Patty Hyped, at least, that one was a straightforward plot. But I still felt like there was more to it. Like, it felt more like more stuff to it, that they had that whole twist in the episode and all that, and this one just feels like it's very very kind of straightforward, but it's not that bad of an episode. Some people might disagree with the score thing, and that'd be fine, but I understand that's my score. But let's move on to another episode. Now we have another episode called Plankton's Army. Yep, Plankton's Army is next. Now, this episode here is, apparently the first time we're introduced to, Plankton's family, and not only his family, but apparently, we also get to hear his name, which I don't know if it's ever been hinted at or shown in the past, but his name used to be called Sheldon. So his name was Sheldon in the past. Or in the past, his name has been, they've revealed his full name, which is Sheldon. So Sheldon J. Plankton, which I don't know what his middle name is, but that's actually pretty cool, though, that we finally get to hear his name and we see his family. So, Plankton is sick and tired of losing to Mr. Krabs. So he wants to hire some henchmen, but then that ends up failing, So, he tries other stunts, apparently trying to, he tries to, he turns himself into, a bug, and even disguises himself as one, like a cockroach or something. It's kind of weird, because, roaches and all that, wouldn't be really underwater. I think there are water roaches, but I don't think there would be any that could breathe underwater, but I don't know. We've seen roaches before, in one of the Merman and Barnacle Boy episodes. We've seen that, but normally you don't see roaches. So that's kind of weird. But then we see him, getting a robot gives Mr. Krabs $1. We see him somehow. I'm not even sure how. Somehow he goes through a flat dollar. Again, I guess it's cartoon logic. I shouldn't question that, but it is kind of weird. It's just a flat freaking dollar bill. It's not a dollar bill that looks like a piano or a dollar bill that looks like a plush. It's just a plain dollar bill, and apparently he went through somewhere in it, and, which is pretty funny. Yeah, so there are some memorable moments. Also Karen in this episode, she's really funny too. I also noticed, that they actually have been having Plankton kind of listen to Karen for once. I should think they've kind of done that a few times, actually. They actually have had him do that a few times. Now, there has been some times in the past, like Season 1 and Season 2, where we've seen, that, and he doesn't listen to Karen and all that, which will be a trend later on. And even, they'll do this trend, too. So it's kind of like the writers kind of just do whatever they feel like with Plankton and Karen, Also, apparently, this is the first time, I believe, too, I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first time that, Plankton's, revealed to be married to Karen, too. I could be wrong on that, but that's actually pretty interesting, but yeah, there's a lot more going on in this episode. And I even like I said, I like that the Plankton family apparently all wants root beer too. They like root beer, I guess. I guess root beer is in public domain, because I guess they use a name. Or actually, is it in public domain, or do they not even care? Because I swear the freaking censorship on this crap is crazy. Like, apparently they're not even allowed, like, on, like, TV and all that. They don't let you use, like, names of certain brands, like candy and all that. It's so stupid. I'm like, I don't understand why. Like, there's only so much you could do. I mean, I guess you could say it's their branding and all that, but I'm like, you're not even advertising. I mean, I guess you could be, like, advertising it a little bit, but I don't know. I just think it's stupid. I'm like, and it's not like you're selling the candy or anything like that, or the drinks. I'm like, that actually might encourage people to get this stuff, just thinking about root beer makes me want some root beer right now. But I don't know, speaking of root beer, A&W is the, part of the root beer thing, and actually they're actually one of the oldest fast food places. So we're talking about fast food here. They're actually one of the oldest. There's actually two older than them. I think there may be more. I don't know, like, I just saw a listing on it. I went off the list and all that, and so it's really kind of cool to, like, watch this episode and think of, root beer, which is really good, and all that other stuff. It being apparently one of the oldest chains. But they're still around. They're just very rare to come across. But you can get them either over Long John Silver's, or sometimes they have their own building, They're just very rare. But, yeah. But enough about talking about root beer. There is another thing I want to point out, too. Apparently, Mr. Krabs also calls Plankton Sheldon, too. I think he actually says that. I believe he says that. I don't know. I mean, Plankton says Sheldon, Sheldon around Mr. Krabs. But I'm pretty sure Mr. Krabs calls him Sheldon. And Karen did not know didn't know Plankton's real name. So I'm wondering why, if other people know, Plankton's real name or not. Like, I don't know why he would keep it a secret. It's not even that funny. Like, Karen was just being a selfish, wife to a Plankton there. I don't know why the heck it's even that funny, but I don't know. I mean, it's funny seeing, her mock him, even though she's kind of being a little selfish, but, I'm perfectly, I still think it's pretty funny, like, she's being selfish, but pretty funny, with the name, but yeah, she's, like, the only one that mocks him, but yeah, apparently in this episode, too, we also get the reveal of, the Krabby Patty formula, where apparently it's in a book. Which, by the way, this is like the only time it's in a book. which now this is actually continuity breaking here. Plankton actually already knew, like, in the past, where the formula was at. Or actually, I don't know if he knew it was in a safe. I can't remember, but actually, he tried to fly and no, he was trying to steal the Krabby Patty. I think. I don't know if he's ever tried to go in the safe or not. I can't remember, but he has stolen. He's trying to steal the bottle before, because in Imitation Crabs, I believe that's the first episode where they reveal the actual formula in its bottle, which is a gimmick they'll use down the road. So it's kind of weird that, he just tries to steal a book. I don't know. But the book ends up being false because apparently, it has plankton in it. So the Krabby Patties are not made out of crab meat, they're made out of plankton. So it skitters them off, which is really funny, and then it skitters off all his other relatives, and it's really funny, like it really is. But yeah, like I said, though, apparently though it's not actually plankton meat. We actually don't even know what the Krabby Patties actually are made out of. I just assumed like they were maybe cow meat or something, but I don't know. But, yeah, there are stuff like that. So, I mean, the Krabby Patty was, the Krabby Patty, formula apparently was under Mr. Krabs' doormat. So, in this episode, it's in a completely different spot. It's under a doormat, which is, funny, about his house. And for some reason, we can actually see him running to it. So, I guess, they also relocated his house. I think that even the funniest part of it is somehow Squidward knew exactly where his formula was at. I don't know, the ending is very random, but it's really funny. But I don't know, I mean, I actually have had a lot to say about this episode compared to the last one, which was good. But, speaking of good, this one's definitely getting a good as well. And then I'm going to be giving it Yep, 120 points. Yeah, this is definitely a really good one. This has got a lot of memorable moments. It's really funny, and I really like that we actually finally get to see Plankton's family, and also we get to see not only his family, but we also get to see Plankton. We get to finally get to hear what Plankton's full name is. Well, sort of. I mean, you don't really know his middle name except for the J, but otherwise, I do really like we get all this stuff and all. That's pretty cool. And I haven't even said too. I like that his family's also just a bunch of hillbillies too. It's pretty funny. Certainly better than the freaking hillbillies in that season 7 episode that were freaking horrifying. Yeah, the less I talk about them, the better. But I also liked his visuals of his actual relatives. But I don't know like why his relatives are like, he's got like millions of plankton and all that are southern and like hillbillies, but he has a normal accent and all that, so that's kind of weird. But I don't know. But let's go ahead and move on to our next episode. The next episode, The Sponge Who Can Fly. Or, the Lost episode. So as you guys can see up there, I once again forgot to, I gotta stop doing that. I once again forgot to include, the patchy stuff. So the patchy, symbol up there might be, gone, and then, or not gone, it might be, in different spots. I try to keep it in the same spot, but I forgot to add it, and trying to add it right back there is a pain in the butt, because, so that's why I did it like that. Yeah, because I was already really far in when I did this, but yeah, we have ourselves the last special in this season. the last special. This is the last one, and then after this special, then we have no more in this season until season 4, and then we'll have some more specials. So, how is this special? Does this special, end on a good note, or does it, end on a bad note? Well, I have to say that this special is very, it is very just, like, it kind of sucks. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this special kind of sucks. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and just give the score out of the way real quick. First, we're gonna give it a meh, and then we're gonna give it the score. Yep. 54 points. Yeah, this special, honestly, kind of pisses me off, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some people kind of all over the place with this episode. I've seen some people like it, some people hate it, some people think it's alright. I'm in the middle. I think this one is meh. And I'm gonna tell you guys why. So, let's first start off with the patchy segments. I gotta say, the patchy segments in this episode are actually pretty, entertaining. For the most part, like, I like the part where we see Patchy, I like seeing the Patchy just, like, apparently, taking a shower and all that, so this is like, the third time we see Tom Kenny naked. Because we see him, naked and in the shower. Because we've seen him in the shower before. But this time he's like Patchy the Pirate. So we get some more Tom Kenny in the shower. Which is pretty nice, I guess. It's pretty funny. But yeah, basically though, apparently he loses this map. Not map. Well, he loses, he had lost the map. He loses, not just the map, but he loses apparently the treasure, the treasure too. I mean, I just realized too, this is actually kind of like missing identity. Got more people losing stuff. See? Everybody loses stuff, even Patchy the Pirate. Of course, Potty is a selfish bird, and, and of course, they'll makes fun of him and all that for losing crap. But yeah, apparently, he goes on this treasure hunt and all that, and I really like it. I like seeing him go on this random treasure hunt, trying to, get this treasure, and apparently, it's buried in a playground and all that. It's pretty funny. Yeah, so basically, Patchy the Pirate, though, unburies his treasure, and apparently it reveals there's a lost episode of Spongebob in it, and apparently Stephen Hillenburg is dressed up in there. I actually didn't know that when I was little, but apparently that's Stephen Hillenburg in the treasure chest, so we actually get to see a live action him in Spongebob. That's pretty cool. I mean, he plays Potty, which I think this might be the last time he plays Potty. I don't even know if he plays Potty when he returns, because when the show, got renewed for more seasons, he left the show, but then he came back and all, before he passed away, so I don't think he actually reprised his role as Potty. I think it was somebody else. Because Potty had a few different voice actors. But it's kind of crazy that freaking Patchy just smacks the freaking chest on him. I'm pretty sure I heard bones break. So I guess Patchy just killed the guy. Yeah, that's pretty, pretty sad though. That this is, like I said, Steven's only appearance, but, I shouldn't probably be making jokes about it, but I'm not. But that seems like that's what Patchy pretty much did, though. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's just a cartoon. I mean, they do a lot of this stuff all the time anyway. So I mean, or like even with live action stuff, so. But yeah, I am happy. Like I said, we see him. He's like dressed as a miner wearing a hat and all that. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure though why again, like the miner who was played by Steven Hillenburg, was in the chest. But I don't know. But anywho, so Patchy gets his VHS tape. He takes it to his house and then apparently watches a minute-long montage of SpongeBob just walking. Which some people really hate, some people like it. I actually kind of like it. It's pretty catchy. Yeah, I will say it kind of drags on a little bit, but it's pretty catchy. The music is really nice. And all that, and we did get a reaction. This is another meme, another SpongeBob meme. Apache saying that's it. I said it's pretty funny and all that. So he does all, he packs all his crap up and all that, and I don't know, it's pretty funny, but yeah, so there's actually quite a bit going on, with the episode. So the episode so far is actually really good. But then the problem is we go into the actual episode. We cut to the actual episode. Apparently, SpongeBob suddenly wants to fly with the jellyfish. I'm pretty sure he already tried something like this before in Nature Pants. Like he wanted to be more like a jellyfish, which was still a weird concept. But here it's like he just wants to fly with them. Like, again, we kind of already done this before. Like, SpongeBob, you're just gonna get yourself electrocuted again. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird they repeat that again, but yeah, so he tries to build himself some flying machine stuff, and we get another version of Old Man Jenkins, which is pretty funny. So Old Man Jenkins, we get to see him, and yeah, it's crazy that the show will constantly change Old Man Jenkins. But they've actually changed. I think this is like the third time. They've changed his design, because he had one in, I think season 2, like Sailor Mouth and all that, and then he had one in My Pretty Seahorse, and then we have Old Man Jenkins here. So there's like a freaking bunch of Old Man Jenkins. I'm not sure what does Old Man Jenkins even mean? Like, is that his name? Or, I don't know, it's just kind of confusing. Again, they keep redesigning his character, too, so it kind of makes it kind of confusing, but I don't know. But yeah, I do like, we actually get to see SpongeBob's grandpa for once, like a little, cutaway, which is pretty cool, so we get to see, but yeah, it's pretty funny. We get to see, him. I mean, we actually had a mentioned of him, in season 1, in Rock Bottom, but we never actually saw him, I mean, obviously SpongeBob, has a grandpa, he has a grandma. I mean, everybody has a grandpa. Whether they're, they passed on or they, still live, everybody has had at least a grandparent at some point, Or actually, I guess that's not true. So I guess if you don't have kids or anything like that, then you probably, well, I guess they could still have it from other people. I don't know. I don't know. But anywho, yeah, we get to see his first appearance, and we get some funny jokes. And for some reason, Patrick is Patrick freaking sprays, Patrick for some reason sprays Spongebob with his bat outfit. I'm not really sure why he sprays him. It's kind of confusing there. I don't really get that joke. Like, I don't get it. If somebody wants to explain that to me, they could in the comments. But I don't know why Patrick sprays SpongeBob with a fire extinguisher. But he's not on fire or anything, so I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, clearly so far, like I said, there's been a lot of, like I said, the patchy segments, and then this stuff so far. It seems actually really good. The problem is with this episode is similar to Krabby Land and Grandma's Kisses. They have to make the freaking Bikini Bottom mates such dickheads and all that, and that is where this episode really pisses me off. So they fucking constantly mock him and all that, which I'm gonna guess this episode is supposed to also be possibly a montage to maybe, like how Krabby Land was a montage, to like possibly McDonald's and all that. I think this episode is a montage to the brothers who built the planes, and everybody made fun of him. Or fun of them for that. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what this episode might be trying to apply. But it's definitely not very funny. And yeah, if it happens in real life, that's, something. But I'm like, I don't want to be reminded of real life, I don't want to be reminded of stuff like that, That's one of the reasons why I can't watch the Titanic movie, I just feel so bad for people in real life, who passed away with it, So I don't want to be watching, stuff like this either, Even if it's like, it's supposed to be a reference to it, Again, I don't even know if that's even the case. I don't know. I just know he spends the episode trying to build a flying machine. Everybody freaking mocks him. Even people who, like, he even talks about his dreams. And everybody literally freaking, like, chases him with pitchforks and freaking, like, torches and all that. Like, I think they did that, and then apparently he falls and all that, and, there's actually a montage, or not a montage, there's a scene here, I want to point out, too. So, apparently on streaming, so just like Ugg and, I guess, Party Pooper Pants, I guess in some versions, this special is different. Actually, I think pretty much every special, except for maybe Christmas Who, has actually been like that. Where they've had at least something a little bit different about it. Now, I mean, in some countries, they might, like in Christmas Who, they might remove the donkey, scene or something, but, I don't know, some countries are a little bit more strict than others. But here in the U.S., they have, like, a scene here where, the narrator's like, will SpongeBob, ever be able to fly? And that's where he's like, he falls in, and it feels kind of weird and, like, out of nowhere. At least in, Ugg, it kind of felt more funny, like, Patchy gets hit, crushed by a freaking boulder and all that, which, yeah, they cut that out in some scenes. It's on Paramount Plus, I believe, I think I said that, but, like, some DVDs, they actually cut it out, but some of them, they keep it in there, so, I guess because they didn't want kids thinking it's okay to throw rocks, but I'm like, I don't think a kid's gonna be able to throw a freaking, a boulder like that, but, I don't know. But yeah, so, this episode, though, like I said, it has that scene, but I only know about that because I actually was watching it because I didn't know what to kind of think, what to grade it exactly. I knew I wanted to give it a meh, but I didn't know, like, what score I wanted to give it. So I wanted to make sure I watched it again. So I watched it on streaming instead of DVD, and that's what caught me off guard. I was like, I forgot about that. Because when I, did the seasonal reviews, I watched the episodes on DVD. So that's actually pretty interesting. But, yeah, Party Pooper Pants kind of does the same thing. As well. So it's kind of interesting to see that. But, yeah, I don't know. But anywho, so apparently SpongeBob, I guess, finally does get to be able to fly. Because he puts, he puts in, like somehow, I guess, air gets trapped inside his pants. Which I gotta say, I kind of like his pants design. I will say it's a pretty nice design. I kind of like the pants. It's nothing super duper fancy, but I do like seeing his pants just get all rounded like that. This won't be the only time we see SpongeBob in round pants, but, we won't see him as big as this one. Yeah, we won't see him big boned, if you know what I mean. But basically, he tries to fly through jellyfish fields, and then he, sings and all that, which I haven't brought up. The songs aren't actually bad in this episode either. They aren't bad. They actually are pretty good. But then apparently, he helps these people and all that, and everybody thanks him, but then everybody takes advantage of him, so, we have, for some reason, SpongeBob has to rub somebody's scalp, which apparently is somebody he knew in grade school, which, by the way, he looks like he aged horribly, because I don't think SpongeBob is that old, because I think if I remember correctly, he was born in, 1986, according to his license. So he was born in 1986, so he's young. You could just go off maybe different years, because, SpongeBob doesn't have really a specific time period, but it's still kind of crazy to see, and odd to see him do that, but yeah, SpongeBob, though, does all this stuff, and then, he really he created the pants just so he can go to jellyfish fields, and then basically everybody just takes advantage of him. So that's one of those stories, So yeah, you can clearly see the problem with this episode. You can see the problem with it, why I'm giving it a meh and 44 points, because the Bikini Bottomites are fucking dicks in this episode. I hate them so much. They go from fucking mocking him to fucking trying to chase him because of him wanting to have dreams and all that, and then they go and then after that they fucking go and take advantage of him and make him do all this stuff he doesn't even want to do. Like I said, even including, rubbing someone's scalp, which is just kind of gross, but I'm just saying, that's kind of the problem. And then they freaking, ruin his pants and all that. And, yeah, he gets to fly with the jellyfish at the end. But it kind of doesn't really make up for the episode. The episode is just so fucking annoying. I hate it. I hate it. I think it would have been acceptable in a way. It would have still been frustrating to sit through all this. But I think if they actually apologized to him, I probably would have gave it a good. Maybe a low good, but the fact they don't even fucking apologize to him, yeah, they cry, but they fucking cry because they destroyed his pants, not because of that. And also, he's trying to spend the entire episode, making a fucking flying machine when they literally have a damn airplane he fucking flies by. Damn airplane, they got that, so I'm like, why the hell does he need to invent a flying machine, I guess he could be making it just for himself, but I'm like, if they have those, I'm sure you could probably just go buy you one. I don't know, it's just kind of confusing. So that's pretty much that, and then we got the Lost episode, the rest of the Patchy segments, which, I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad for Patchy at the end, even though this episode was kind of just mediocre. Well, not even really mediocre, I meant to say more so frustrating. I still kind of feel bad Patchy, his VHS just breaks. And all that, and he loses his tape. So we just spend the episode at the end with him kind of losing and all that. I feel bad for him. Like, I kind of feel bad for Patchy at the end of the episode. Also, for some reason, he has a remote that can control the lights and make music appear and all that. So I guess it makes him kind of like, I guess before Click, we had, Patchy's, remote, which kind of did has done a lot of similar things, but I don't know, it's definitely pretty funny, but like I said, I just feel bad for him at the end, but this episode just has a lot of problems with it. I don't hate it as bad as Party Pooper Pants, because at least here there's more to it, and it's a lot more funny. But it kind of has the same problem where I just think it's frustrating to watch at times. But, I don't have much else to say about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the last 2 episodes. SpongeBob meets the Strangler. Yep, as you guys probably noticed this title, SpongeBob apparently interacts with a Strangler. So somebody who wants to kill him. Now this episode, this one is fucking gold. Now this one right here, unlike the last one, this one is fucking gold. I'm going to be giving this one definitely a good 120 points is what we'll be giving this score. Now that's what I'm talking about. It's nice to have an episode that's actually really good after the last one we got. Yeah, this episode is really, really good. Like, I love this episode. This one's really funny. So basically what happens is, okay, so SpongeBob, he got to work early, and all that. So we have him going, doing his morning duties, apparently picking up litter, which we never seen him do before, by the way. He just picks up litter. And apparently there's just this freaking litter bug. It turns out he's the Tattletale Strangler. So whoever, tattles on him gets freaking murdered by this guy, which is fucking dark. That's fucking really dark. Of course, not as dark as, burying a health inspector alive, or I guess even dead, trying to hide a body, but it's still fucking pretty dark, But he basically, does that. And apparently the policemen arrest him and all that, and, somehow he gets out. I don't know how the hell he gets out. He just somehow gets out and gets away. I do like the way they cuffed him, too. But this just shows you how bad the policemen are at their fucking job. Hell, they didn't even do jack shit when, fucking the Strangler was on the loose, wanting to kill him. Like, the policemen in this show are really bad at their jobs. Like, they are really bad at their jobs. Like, they really are. Like, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I really hate them. I'm like, why do you even have them, in the show? I will say, unlike Party Pooper Pants, though, I will say, yeah, I mean, they are frustrating in this episode, but it does kind of lead to, another plot where SpongeBob is trying to find a bodyguard, but everybody is scared to shit of this guy. Like, everybody is, including Larry the Lobster, who turns himself into freaking, like, a lobster, which is pretty nice. So, like, literally everybody is scared of him. I think he even goes to the Salty Platoon, too, I'm pretty sure. But I'm actually surprised we don't actually see Sandy, as a bodyguard either. I think Sandy would make a good bodyguard, but I don't know. But it's pretty funny to see that. But then apparently, the Tattletale Strangler uses a false mustache and, pretends to be a bodyguard just so he could fucking strangle this guy, SpongeBob, as we're talking here. Basically, to get revenge on him. Like, Jesus, this guy freaking really likes to strangle people. Like, did somebody hurt him when he was little or something? Like, it's like he just wants to fucking squeeze the stress out of somebody. Maybe he just needs to stop strangling people. Just freaking, I don't know, like, strangle a tree or a stress ball or something. I don't know. But I do like how we spend the entire episode of SpongeBob annoying the piss out of him, and then, oh my god, and then we have like one point where like randomly, like I know, I'm sorry, I can't resist giggling here, but we have him like trying to get inside the window, and then he has these random like these boots, these cleats and all that, and oh, I said boots, these cleats. And I guess I'm thinking of maybe the episode from season 1 with the SpongeBob's boots. I don't know, but anywho, these cleats, and then freaking gets in his eyes and all that. I'm like, why would SpongeBob even think that's a good idea? And all that? I don't know, but I like that he just fucking runs around and all that, like with SpongeBob's cleats in his eyeballs and all that for like several hours. And then apparently though he could just get the key under a mattress and just get inside. So it's a callback to like Party Pooper bands apparently, with the key being under the mattress the entire time. And apparently though, SpongeBob, I guess, is all alone with this guy, but then apparently everybody comes in and celebrates his on time performance at work. Oh, and by the way, Squidward's there. Like, I don't know why Squidward's there. Squidward fucking hates SpongeBob. Well, I mean, there are signs that show that he actually cares about him, but, I mean, in Party Pooper Pants, he literally had to, which, again, what I was talking about, the key and all, calling that back, he literally, SpongeBob had to cut his cable just to get him to come over. Here he's just like, he just comes over. And I mean, you could be like, well, they probably just wanted to include some fish in the background, but they also have him actually speaking too. He says, and did somebody say party and all that, because apparently not only SpongeBob has a celebration for, his celebration for his, on time, attendance, which is pretty good. He also has his birthday, so he gets his birthday too. So apparently they all forgot his birthday, and then they're like, oh yeah, we forgot his birthday, so let's go back inside and celebrate more. That's actually pretty funny. And then I like that Patrick just freaking comes out of nowhere, and then like apparently thinks he is the Strangler, so he turns himself in, and then freaking the Strangler is fed up with all this bullshit, and then rips off his freaking mustache, his fake mustache. And I guess for some reason SpongeBob still doesn't know who the heck he is. Like, now you could say that they make SpongeBob a bit too dumb in this episode, and they kind of do, but in this case, I think it works. It's not really annoying. It's not really annoying, and it's a little bit out of character for him, but I don't think it's like bad, but yeah, he's a little bit too stupid here, like. But I like how he spends the rest of it trying to go with the bodyguard because he wants to be protected and all that, and then he ends up landing in freaking jail. And then now there's some theories out there suggesting that SpongeBob, always knew, that it was the Strangler, but it actually reveals that he actually didn't, because apparently when he was looking, when the Strangler revealed the poster where he's at, apparently, that reveals that, he's not, that the Tattletale Strangler is apparently, the Tattletale Strangler apparently is a, on the poster and all that, and apparently SpongeBob just suddenly feels like he's shocked and all in fear and stuff. So clearly, SpongeBob did not know that it was the Tattletale Strangler, but I don't know. It's an interesting theory, though, to have. But yeah, this one's just a really good episode. Like, I really like this one a lot. I definitely really do. It's really funny, and I just like the fact that everybody's scared of this guy. Like what the hell did this guy do exactly? I mean, he strangled people, but like what the hell did he do besides that? I mean, yeah, I'm not saying. I mean, strangling somebody to death is bad, but I'm just saying, like, clearly, like, couldn't everybody just work together and take him down together? Like, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy to see everybody's freaking scared of him. I don't know, it's just kind of crazy, you know? But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this is definitely a really good episode. But now let's move on to our final episode, Pranks-A-Lot. So the final episode of this season here is Pranks-A-Lot. So Pranks-A-Lot is our final episode of this season, and I'm gonna go ahead and just say I'm gonna go ahead and give the score right away too. This was definitely gonna get it good, and then we'll give it 100 points. And we're gonna give it 100 points. Yeah, this episode is actually this episode I do really like. So in this episode, I'll explain why I'm giving it 100 and not 120 in a second. But I will say in this episode, apparently SpongeBob and Patrick used invisible spray. They were gonna spray a park bench, but apparently they never get to do that because Patrick and SpongeBob fight over this can, so they end up spraying each other, turn themselves into ghosts, and apparently go around haunting the town. So we get all of that. I think that's pretty funny. I like that. That's a pretty funny thing they do. But yeah, they basically go around But yeah, they go around and all that, and like prank everybody and all that, and they even go in Sandy's like tree dome too. Despite not having helmets on, they're able to go inside there, and for some reason Patrick puts his freaking face all over Sandy's room. Yeah, I think Patrick's got some obsession with Sandy or something because that's pretty clear there. Like just having he just randomly puts like pictures. When I was little, I was like questioning that. I'm like, why did Patrick just randomly put pictures of himself all over the Sandy's room? But then I'm like, I don't know why I didn't see that when I was little, because then as an adult I see the obvious that I think he had something for Sandy. I don't know, it's pretty funny, but yeah, I don't know why they don't have helmets on, but yeah, I do really like all that stuff, all this stuff in the episode and all that. It's pretty cool. Just seeing them go around pranking people and all that. Apparently they even prank somebody taking a shit in the toilet. I'm not even kidding. They're literally pooping in the toilet, and they scare them, which is really funny. But I don't know. There's also some Casper I think references in here, or like callbacks or something. I guess it'd be references because when SpongeBob and Patrick are invisible, asking somebody what time it is, this guy drives off, and his eyeballs drive off the boat and all. That's kind of something in Casper they would do, something goofy and cartoony like that. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, they basically go so far to even apparently prank Mr. Krabs, who apparently doesn't believe in ghosts anymore, despite seeing the Flying Dutchman. And actually, he even told the story of the Flying Dutchman in season 1. And he could say, well, season 1, Mr. Krabs was a different character there. I mean, he was still a cheapskate, but he was more, serious. And we have season 3 here where he literally interacts with the Flying Dutchman. So, I don't know. I don't think that makes much sense to me, but which the Flying Dutchman actually doesn't even appear in this episode, which is interesting too. But yeah, apparently though we go through all of this, SpongeBob and Patrick, end up kind of going a little too far with the pranks by trying to burn his dollar. And then they apparently revealing, who their true selves and all that. And apparently everybody at the end of the episode ends up being at the Krusty Krab. So there's actually another theory in this episode. Everybody questions, like, if, the prankster guy who has the prank shop, actually, had all, there's actually people questioning if he was actually responsible, for these pranks or not, because, he did teach SpongeBob all these ultimate, tricks and stuff like that with, pranks. So, that's interesting, but that's kind of, though, the ending's kind of why, though, I'm giving it 100 points and not 120. Because I do really like the idea. I do think seeing them, I like seeing them going and just scaring people as a prank and all that. The problem is, though, I think, having them be naked and all that, I think honestly that's a little too far for me. Yeah, they pranked people and scared people to death. But I don't feel like they deserve to, get pranked like that, though, Like maybe, scared or something, but I don't know if I would go like that, but... So, yeah, I kind of feel bad for them a little bit in the end of the episode, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, I don't think the episode was that bad. I think it was actually pretty good. But, I don't really have a lot else to say about this episode. So now that we got the last episode out of the way, now we have officially reviewed every episode of SpongeBob Season 3. Yep, we are finally done. Here are the scores for this season. So it seems like here we have 2 bads, 4 mehs, and 31 goods. So we actually have a lot of goods and 4 mehs and 2 bads. So the good still really outweighs the bad, and the mehs are 4, and then we have a bad with 2. So let's go ahead and give it a score now. Yep, we're going to be giving it 120 points. Yeah, I probably should have put the 120, in the other section. I kind of think I should have probably done it like that. Oh well. I decided to go, I guess we'll just do it like this. With this card here. But yeah, 120 though is pretty good though. Now four of those mehs were actually, or not 4, I think there was actually 5, wasn't there? 5 or, was it 5? Hold on. Nope, it was just 4. Okay, I was gonna say that there was only 4 mez. But honestly, those mez were like... I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the mez in this season have actually been close to getting a bad. Like, they were really close to getting a bad. Not all of them were, but a lot of them were, like I think a lot of them just, like, a lot of the mez in this season, like, they had funny moments, but, I feel like a lot of them, like, had a lot of problems, and some of the bads in this season were actually kind of bad, like one of the bads, the other one at least was not, like, super duper bad, but I think compared to season 2, I think the bads in this season were a little bit worse. But there was still a lot of really good episodes. There really was. But now let's go ahead and move on to, I'm gonna try to compare this stuff to the other seasons. Here you go. So for pre-movie SpongeBob, so we talked about season 3. So season 3 was really good. But now we have season 3 to season 2 and 1. So, yeah, I probably should have labeled the seasons down there too. Like I said, I'm improving my stuff, so sorry about that. But the pink is basically season 2, and then season 1 is, season 1's gonna be, that's yellow. But as you can see, though, season 1 still has more, it actually still has more, it still has a lot more of the goods, where season 2 and 3 actually are very close to each other. Like, look how close season 2 and 3 are. Season 3 had, like, one more meh than season 2 had one more meh than season 3. But it had the same amount of bads, and then it had almost the same amount of goods. It had, like, one more good than, the others. So that's actually pretty interesting. That's actually really interesting to see that, though. Just see it like that, but that's pretty much what it is. Now I'm guessing because there technically was 3 there was 3 specials in this season where the other one only had 2. So the other one only had like two specials. So so I guess that's probably why, there's probably, I think there was more episodes in season 2 than there are with 3. But as you can see, that's pretty interesting to see how close they are together. And like I said, season 1 almost had some mez, but like the episodes ended up kind of, making up for a lot of that. And it had like no bads. So this means this season is, or I shouldn't say just seasons, I should say not just seasons, but pre-movie era SpongeBob will be getting. We'll be giving it a good, and not just a good, but I'm going to be giving it 120 points. Yeah, I'm going to be giving 120 points. Although, I don't know, I was kind of thinking about I was actually thinking about giving it 100 points. Because I feel like although season 1 is really good, and honestly, it's not even that it has more good episodes than the others. Like, those, it also has, like, more episodes, too, because it literally has no specials in it. It has, like, one short. So it doesn't, just because, a season, has, more bads than goods doesn't always make it, mean it's going to be better than the other seasons. But I think season 1, though, just had more of a charm with, the characters. Like, I liked Mr. Krabs a lot more in season 1. Patrick was actually pretty, interesting later on, too. But Mr. Krabs kind of started becoming more and more of a villain after the first season. Or, like, mid-season 2, they started making him more of a villain. And then we have, all that, but I feel like they still do they made some really good episodes based off of around him, so at least, there's that, but that's just kind of why I like season 1 better. I like the characters better, the animations better, so far, season 1 is definitely my favorite, I think it's definitely my favorite of the seasons. Some people say season 2 or 3. Actually, a lot of people say season 2. Season 2 and 3 are more funny than season 1. But season 1 I think has more, I like the vibe of it more, It just has a better vibe, But that's the thing, though. The fact that, that this gets a really good score just shows you how well this show is. It was really good. It really was. And yeah, there are some problems with, season 2 and 3 with, the characters, which I'll get into that in a second with some stuff, but I just wanted to kind of, I said, talk about this, season, just talk about them together, because, I'll be doing the same thing when I get done with season 5, too. I'll probably talk about those seasons too, because those seasons people tend to be kind of mixed on, where season 6 through 8, well, even I think 9 for the most part, people really do not like a lot of those seasons a lot. But I kind of want to, compare them, to each other to see how good the show is up to this point, and then go from there, But yeah, so far, this show is definitely really good. It's been really good, and I'm really, excited, and also terrified to watch some of the later episodes, especially in season 6. Season 6 is going to be hell to watch, but, I can do it. I'm tough. I can do it. I'll get through it. I'll even get through freaking, Boating Buddies again, even though that episode was a piece of garbage. But anywho, I said I think I've kind of all said what I want to say here, but yeah, this is pretty much where we're at right now. So good show so far. We'll see how season 4 and 5 compare, and then we'll go from there. But anywho, let's go on to the next stuff now. Of course, we have the characters here. We have the good and the bad characters. Now, unlike season 1 and 2, I actually do not have Karen on here. Because Karen actually has had more screen time this season. But Pearl is actually on this list. Pearl really doesn't, there's not really any episodes on Pearl in this season. Pearl was just kind of, I kind of don't really like her a lot. I mean, I think she's in the background a lot, but she doesn't really play any really roles in this season. She tells her dad that he's getting old and all that. And then, he tries to, be cool with her and all that, and she kind of just bitches about it, And that same episode, she kind of just whines. Yeah, Pearl's just kind of not really my favorite in this season. I don't know, I was kind of going with her or the cops. Because the cops in this season they pissed me off too. But honestly, the cops, have more screen time, and the cops actually still do have their moments I do like. I do like some of their moments, like them, with the health inspector and all that, and the nasty Patty and all that, they're pretty good there. And then, I don't remember. Like, I think there was like, I mean, they haven't been in a ton of episodes, but I don't know. I just kind of liked them a bit. They had like some interesting moments. Pearl, which is not that interesting. But anyway, let's go on to my favorite character, and that is Patrick. Now, yes, I'm showing Sandy here, but Patrick is actually the one that's my favorite. Now, normally I just zoom in and all that, but come on, I like this scene a lot. Patrick, in this scene here, by the way, this is one of the many scenes I like, but like he's like dancing with Sandy, and he looks all nervous and all that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, that's the thing though. Patrick was really funny in this season. Like, I loved Patrick in this season. He was. He gave me a lot of laughs. Like, he gave me a lot of laughs in this season. Like, I think he's funny. Like, he's definitely a really, really, really funny character. But like I liked him, in like Party Pooper Pants. Even though that episode was not my favorite, I think he was funny there. And even though that's technically his ancestor, it's still Patrick's character. Just in prehistoric form, he was funny there. Like, he actually had some funny lines. And I don't know. I just think I think he's definitely been my favorite. Even in like episodes like, the Great Snail Race, despite it being a very hurtful episode, I think like Patrick actually kind of saved the episode for me. Patrick actually made the episode at least watchable, even if I felt bad for Gary in that episode. So yeah, Patrick's got a lot of memorable moments. Like, he's got a lot of them. I think he does. Like, he does have a lot of memorable moments. I mean, those are just examples, but they had. Oh yeah, I forgot even Wet Painters. Wet Painters, he's hilarious too in there. So yeah, they just have a lot of really good episodes with Patrick in it. Like, I think the writers really had a good time writing Patrick in this season. Now later down the road, trust me, Patrick will get worse. But here he's still a really entertaining character. So yeah. All right. Now we have the notes. So I'll start with the good stuff here. So it says, I want to point out that this season was really funny. Yeah, I mean, I know I said that about the last season too, but this one was really funny. Like I mentioned with Patrick. Patrick is probably like my favorite character of this season. He's fucking hilarious. Like, he's so funny. Like, oh my god, I just love Patrick. In this season though, there's a lot more like jokes and all. Like, I think the writers definitely were having fun making this season. And then we also, we have like, can you spare a dime and all that? That doesn't really have Patrick in it, but that's still an episode people really like. And then we got the water effect is still there. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, so in the show they did this a lot more in like early season 1. However, in season 2 and 3 they still do it, but they kind of don't show it off as much. But you'll see on like buildings, like SpongeBob's house or something, where you'll see like the water like reflecting, like the light reflecting off of SpongeBob's house or Squidward's or something like that. It's pretty cool, that they do that. Now, I don't know if I've said that about season 1 or not. I don't know. But yeah, I remember like there's a YouTuber called Al. His name's called Al. I'm not really a big fan of his content though. I was at first, but honestly, he's kind of, I don't know. He just seems so, I don't know. I don't want to trash on people much, but he just seems kind of like I don't know. Just doesn't seem like he really, like he seems upset all the time and just depressed and all when he does these stuff and all that, and he even I watch you have some things to say about one of his reviews, because I have something to say about that in season 4, because he did a review on Dumped and all that, and try to compare it with some episodes that didn't even make sense and all that. I don't know. I don't know how he is as an actual person, but his content, yeah, I don't really care about his content a lot, but yeah, I don't know, but he wasn't really one of my favorites, but yeah, that's kind of where I figured out the idea from him, he did make a video talking about that, so, but I don't know if it's in season 4 and 5, I'll have to keep an eye out for it, I'll have to remember to do that. But season 4 and 5, and I'll just keep an eye out to see if they have the water effect or not. So, yeah. Also, Karen has more roles in this season. Yep, Karen actually has more roles. They actually give Karen more roles. Yeah, I think I even kind of said that in the video. Where, season 1 and 2, she has, season 1, she has, 2 appearances. I think the first episode, and then Fun, and then that's it. And it's only, a small screen chance, or not screen chance, I mean, a screen time. I don't know why I said screen chance, I don't know why I said that. I have to say screen time, And then season 2, they kind of did the same thing. They kind of just, didn't do much with her. I guess in Imitation Crabs, they did give her, the voice acting for, the self-destruct thing. With the penny and stuff like that, but that basically was, that's basically, all they did with her. In season 3, though, they kind of did more with her. They had her in, the algae's always greener, so we got to see Karen with, a new, a new personality. She has, I think, the same personality kind of as the first season, but she's more of a supported wife, She's actually married to Plankton now, and it reveals that. And then we see her make some funny jokes and stuff in, Plankton's army. I don't know if she's had any other appearances. I thought she had a third one. I can't remember. Either way, though, she has a lot more appearances in this show, or this season, and I really like that. That's something I kind of like they did. Another thing I want to point out is I've kind of done this too a little bit, but I'll say it here. Patrick and Sandy seem to have more screen time together than usual, basically. Yeah, so they've been doing that a lot, and I definitely think okay, call me crazy here, but I totally can see them doing this. I think they were maybe thinking about pairing up maybe Patrick and Sandy together. They did a little bit in the of that in season 2 as well. We had Patrick just randomly rubbing lotion on Sandy's shoulders. Which, by the way, was cut out in some scenes. I don't know if I pointed that out. I think I did, yeah, but he's just, doing that, and then, he has this, I think, smirk on his face, his big smirk. And then in this season, we have, him, dancing with Sandy. As that image I showed you guys, kind of weirdly, he's trying, flirting with her, or trying to be with her, or something like that, and then they did the exact same thing, with, the last episode too, and I mean, these are just examples, but the last episode we have, him, like, putting all these pictures of Sandy and all that in, in there. It's kind of weird. Also, Sandy and Patrick were also paired up together, like, now this is more so maybe just friendship here, but, like, in, I had an accident episode, like, they were just paired up there. But it's kind of weird. They definitely have had more screen time together than usual. And, like, some of this stuff, yeah, I think the writers were probably experimenting there and all, thinking, maybe let's see if, like, we could try to, maybe, like, Mrs. Puff and, Mr. Krabs, maybe they're trying to, like, pair them up together or something like that. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about Patrick and Sandy being a thing, though. I don't think they need a relationship, but I definitely think they were trying to do that by the hints. There were a lot of hints. So, yeah, a lot of hints. And I was gonna say too. There's also, if you, like, apparently, like, I actually wasn't even paying attention to this, by the way. The reason why I also bring this up is because apparently, someone made, like, a video talking about that. Like, I don't know if it was the news reporter fish guy from the TV, or Perch Firkins. I think it was the live action news fish guy who pointed out this detail and all that. And I'm like, how the hell did I not see that? And this was SpongeBob. This is SpongeBob that did this. I mean, it could have been maybe a fan-made SpongeBob channel, but I think it was the actual SpongeBob channel. So, yeah, I think they were actually doing that. I think they were actually trying to experiment with something there, and then maybe it just didn't work out. I mean, also, I guess to be fair, too, after season 3, a good chunk of the writers left, but I think a lot of them came back. They came back and all that. But maybe they just didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anywho, enough about Sandy and Patrick and Sandy. I just wanted to point out that weird thing because, yeah, I think that's something interesting. Another thing is as we see more of Mrs. Puff's boating school. Yep. We actually get to see more of her school. Where season 1 and 2, I don't think we really see inside her school. But season 3, we get to see, more glimpses of her school. Like, we even get to see, even in these episodes, the bully and new student Starfish, both episodes, not only we get to see, more of the school, but we also get to see, that SpongeBob is not always driving in every boating school episode, and I like that. Like, I wish they did more of that. Like, I hate that they gotta constantly make him, like, drive in every episode, That's something they kind of did here that I really like. It's really cool. But yeah, they kind of, I mean, they still do that afterwards. Trust me, they do. But most of the time, it's just, every boating school episode will have at least SpongeBob at one point trying to drive something. They'll either make a joke about it or, it'll be about him driving and failing his test. Here, they don't do that at all. I mean, we do have that one point where Mrs. Puff gets thrown in jail, for that, but otherwise, I think for the most part, they kind of just didn't really do that, and I like that. That's a good change. Something kind of fresh. And then we got, a bad here, the bad one. The specials in this season weren't as good as season 2. Because obviously, I've said season 1, we'd already know didn't have any specials. But season 2 did. And season 3's their specials were not as good. I think Party Pooper Pants was a really good idea. My problem is Party Pooper Pants, they kind of failed because they made SpongeBob a bit unlikable and all that, and we don't really get to experience the party a lot, which kind of sucks because SpongeBob gets stuck outside, and then we get to see, another episode too, with the Sponge Who Could Fly, which was reviewed here. They do the exact same things. SpongeBob, SpongeBob isn't unlikable here, but the Bikini Bottom Mites are, and it kind of takes away the episode a bit. And then Ugg is honestly, Ugg is actually an underrated episode in my opinion. I even reviewed it, I reviewed all these episodes. I think it's underrated, but, I definitely don't, besides that one, the other two definitely were not as, great, so. Even Ugg, though, I guess technically Ugg, I don't think the specials were as good there either. I guess to be fair, even season 2, I think there was only one special, Christmas Who, and because technically Shanghai was a special too, but but it kind of depends on how you watch it and all that too, and it's not long like these, but I guess it's still technically a special episode, so I don't know. But yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting to see that. But I definitely noticed that something in common with all three specials in season 3, though, all of them, including Ugg, because Ugg, is the third, the other, one of the three specials, despite it being good, is that the patchy segments in this season actually were a lot better than the actual episodes. That's actually crazy. Even the party episode, despite, even his part, segments kind of being kind of whatever in that season, or that episode, I still feel like they were it was so much more enjoyable than the actual episodes. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird, seeing that. Especially considering people don't seem to really care about Patchy that much, but, well, some people do, some people don't, but I kind of noticed that watching this season. But, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, that's just kind of crazy to see that. But, yeah, there's only, one bad thing in this season, that I have on this list here. There were others, like I've talked about in the last season, I think, I've already talked about that, I kind of think turning Mr. Krabs more and more into a villain kind of ruins his character a lot. There's been some moments like that, with, Krabby Land and all that, where I think they kind of ruin his character. But they can make good plots, too, out of it, but yeah, I think they kind of go too far at times, but, yeah, but I've already talked about that stuff, so I'm trying to, put new stuff in, so just because there's, one bad thing does not always mean anything, but, I could include it, just to show kind of how many more problems something has, but, I don't know, I kind of don't want to do it all the time, but I don't know, maybe I should. I'll think about that stuff, but, this is only my third, seasonal review, I've done with SpongeBob. And I've done, Futurama, one seasonal review of Futurama. But, otherwise, I kind of just haven't really done much of that, but I don't know. But, yeah, I'm going to work on improving my videos more, but, I think this is pretty much it. This video actually ended up being a long video, too. A lot longer than the last ones, and I only had, 7 episodes. But I actually had a lot to say, so... So, yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can try to start making the videos shorter, but... But plus it's easier on my voice, but it might be hard at times. Because sometimes I just have a lot to say. But trust me, there's gonna be times where I feel like I'm not gonna have a lot to say, but this is technically the final, video of season 3, so I was filling in notes. So, but anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and let the video go, and I'll see you guys all later when we do the movie. Anywho, bye bye. Dash Shell Rose, signing off.